Hello and welcome to a mantra movement and meditation practice. Today we are going to dedicate our yin yoga practice to the goddess and the energy of Tara. Tara is a energy, a goddess, a deity that holds the energy of liberation for all beings everywhere. So she has chosen and taken on a pretty big job of making our bodies clear, making our minds clear so that we can connect to ourselves, so we can connect to nature, so we can connect to animals, so we can have empathy, so we can connect to all that is growing in the gardens and all the fairies that lives there and everything that has to do with nature, everything that helps us to dig a little deeper and maybe feel a little more and eventually just really liberating ourselves and feeling free and clear and connected to heart of earth and connected to heart of source. So her name is Tara and she is amazing and she is everywhere, especially in nature. You can find her around houseplants. You can really feel her energy. You can find her amongst animals. You can find her in the meadows. You can find her in your gardens. You can find her amongst the trees. Tara is her name. She comes in many different forms. The most known is the green Tara and the white Tara, who will hold her arms around us until we are all safe and sound and connected so much that we are feeling connected to source within us and source that connects us all. And she has this beautiful mantra and it goes like this, and it's also written in the comments below if you want to follow along. Om Tare Tuttare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tuttare Ture Soha. And you're welcome to sing along. We'll take 11 rounds to sit comfortably, and we'll start with that to really embody the energy of Goddess Tara. So sit nice and tall on your sit bones. We'll start with one Om together. Inhale. Om Tare Tuttare Ture Soha. 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 And then Om, inhale. And exhale, open your eyes, and we'll start with our first yin yoga pose of Sphinx pose on our forearms. We're gonna make our way into some nice yummy hip openings so that we can sit comfortably and meditate together. You might turn on some music that you like to have on when you are doing yoga or movement. So do what works the best for you. Stay within your comfortable zone and edge in every pose of level 3 to 4, up if you were to have a scale up to 10. So we can comfortably relax, we can comfortably release any tension, any holds, and we can just comfortably dig in towards the fascia, the connective tissues, the tendons, and realign, making some new patterns for our physical body, which will then sip out to our energy fields and make things a little clearer around us. You're welcome to put a block under your head or just simply have your head upright. I like to let my head just relax down. We have about another 15 breaths or so here. I'm starting to open up the energies for the lower back, for the hips, upper and lower body. Just gently easing into each and every breath, dropping a little deeper with each breath. Another 5 breaths here. And slowly coming all the way down onto the belly, taking the hands by the shoulders. Next pose is child's pose. Big toes together, knees apart, expanding into the lower back area. You can let your arms come to the side. You can take a pillow for your head or just simply letting your head rest down. Sinking nice and deep in towards the hips. Maybe pulling the belly in so that the lower back feels nice and supported. Heavy in the body, releasing, opening the pathways, the whole back body. Making sure it's comfortable for the neck, nice and clear for the back, nice and clear for the neck. Shoulders are relaxed, fingers are relaxed. Another 10 breaths here, where we just get to be heavy, going within. Untying knots in the lower back, compressing in towards the hips.
Another 3 breaths, filling each and every part of the body. And from here, I'm going to come up onto all fours. And we'll take a down dog from here, mixing it up a little bit. If down dog is not your thing, you can always just stretch your legs back, taking turns stretching the legs back. We'll take 3 breaths in down dog, getting some blood through the knees, through the ankles, feeling steady in your 3 breaths here. Feet can be walked in. And we're making our way over into Ragdoll, so feet halfway into the mat and hands come and meet halfway. And from here we can take the hands and support on the floor, or taking the hands around the elbows. The feet are hip widths apart or wider for steadiness, for grounding. And then we'll fold forward just like a ragdoll, opening the pathways in the legs for easier grounding, easier to connecting to the deeper layers of ourselves. And once we find ourselves, then we can go out and also connect with others around us in an easier way, light-hearted way. Staying steady with the breath for the next 10 breaths or so here. Making sure knees are softly bent. Being as relaxed as we can. Untying knots in the whole spine so that legs can open up, the breath can be free and clear. And gently release the hands. From here, we're going to come into dragon pose, so that right foot is going to come forward and the left knee is going to come back. So just kind of take your way into that form and shape. You might put a blanket for your knee. I like to have a blanket for my knee, and then maybe even a block for the hands, or maybe we'll come to the elbows. So go and find your way into your dragon pose, a low lunge, where we go and find a comfortable edge where we can hang out. The toes are relaxed, the leg is relaxed. We're certainly not going beyond our comfort zone of a level 3 to 4 when we have the scale up towards a 10. Staying nice and comfortable. And then from here, maybe we'll come down onto the forearms. Maybe you'll come all the way down. Maybe you have 2 blocks. See what works for you. And then we just relax from here. And we have about 10 breaths here. Where we get to rearrange in towards our iliopsoas region, the hip flexor region, all the way from our lower back towards the adductors. These can be intense hip flexor stretches. So make sure that you are within your very comfortable edge where you can stay without straining or pulling or pushing, just softening into it. I'm going to divide this dragon pose into two different kinds. So we have one where we fold forward, and then we're going to come into a reclining dragon and extend it back into a reclined dragon pose where we just leaning back, just extending that right leg. Hands can be on blocks again or on the floor, and we can just relax the head down towards the knee, inside the knee. Being as passive as we can. Releasing the neck, releasing the spine, and transferring that into releasing in towards our hamstring group on the right side. Deeper breaths into all the tight areas. Being as passive as we can here. It's easy to engage muscles to stay in this position, but we'll just do our very best to relax as much as we can and letting the fascia holding our hamstring group release. Make a different pocket for our hamstrings, transferring more nutrients by just being softly and gently elongated, stretched. Another 3 breaths here. And slowly coming up onto tabletop and switching sides. Taking the left leg forward, coming into dragon pose on your left side. Use a block if you need to. Flatten out the toes on your right side and go and dive into the spaces there that your right hip flexor wants you to dig into. So just super easeful, very gentle. Find your edge on a nice kind of dial where you can stay for another 10 breaths or so. Maybe forearms, maybe on hands. Melting in towards the right hip, relaxing as much as we can, staying as passive as much as we can. We'll stay for another 3 breaths here. Untying knots in the whole right hip area. And gently make your way into reclining dragon pose by extending your left leg. Maybe have hands on blocks or hands on floor, whatever feels the most passive way of stretching for you into this reclining dragon pose. Taking your head towards your knee, maybe inside the knee. being as passive as we can here. Deep breaths into all the tight areas. Releasing hamstring group on left side, releasing lower back, glutes. The whole spine gets to rearrange. We'll take another 3 breaths together. And slowly making your way up from here, tabletop or down dog, to just kind of stretch out from those deeper hip flexor stretches. Maybe adjusting into the ankles, just a breath or two here in downward facing dog. And then we're going to come down for a comfortable seat into butterfly pose. You might sit on a blanket or pillow, or you might feel comfortable sitting just where you are. So we'll take the feet together for butterfly pose. And just gently sitting and taking our neck stretch with this seat, taking our head over towards the left side and coming into the right side of the neck. And you just release, relax the hands, letting the neck just get a nice crescent lateral movement in between the vertebrae in the neck, in all the way from the levator scapula, all the scalenes, all the little sheets that are holding all the tiny little muscles that are holding the neck in a nice support. We give it some air. See if you can relax the arms. Just sitting nice and steady onto the sit bones. It's easy to drift all the way over to the side with the whole body, so we'll just remind ourselves to sit upright. 5 more breaths here together. And then gently taking your left hand and helping the head upright. And we'll have the second side, another 10 breaths. The neck gets a little half time pose and the hips get the full time pose. Checking in with the seat that we're sitting even on our sit bones. Checking in if our knees need support or if they feel maybe a little bit even easier now to sit. Dropping into that left side of the neck. Making sure that we pay attention to each part of our body. Listening. Make an adjustment if needed. Another 5 breaths here.
And gently taking our right hand on the right side of the neck and helping our head up. And from here, we're going to come into a seated pigeon pose. So let's take the left leg in and the right leg forward. So we'll have the feet, the heels kind of align right with the pubic bone and the belly button. So the left leg is in and the right leg is forward. And then we're going to fold forward from here with either the hands supporting us on each side, or maybe there's a block. Maybe we feel comfortable either way, with a block or with a blanket. I'm going to turn myself around. So the left leg is in and the right leg is forward, and maybe we'll take a block for the forearms to be on. Maybe we'll do the opposite. Maybe we'll take a block for the head to be on. So see where it feels the best for you. This is for the right side of our hip, the rotators, the hip socket. It adjusts into the ankles, to the knee, to the hip, and it's really a magical yin pose, like a seated pigeon pose. We hold it for 20 breaths or so. So make yourself comfortable where it feels good for you. On your scale up to 10, stay within a 3 or 4. Just arranging into the whole area of the lower back, where sometimes energy gets stuck. It's hard to ground with energy stuck in the lower back and in the hips. So we'll open it up, making sure that we are turning and twisting our fascia in a beneficial way to bring nutrients into the fascia, bloodstream, into the muscles for optimal transformation of energies and flow in the deeper layers. Another 10 breaths or so here. Maybe it's easier to relax as we sink deeper and deeper through the layers that we want to liberate from any toxins, anything that holds us back, anything negative. Another 3 breaths here. And slowly making your way up. And switching to the second side by taking your right leg in and your left leg forward and coming into the second side. Prop my right knee up a little bit for comfort and ease. Right foot in towards the pubic bone, the front foot out as a diamond shape, the whole leg, and then the heels, they just come in a line with the belly button. I'm taking my block for my forearms. You might use the floor, you might use 2 blocks.
see what works for you. And we'll just let that spine relax again and dig in towards the left hip rotators, IT band, iliac crest, the whole left leg from the hip all the way, lower back, the spine. Finding a comfortable space. And just relaxing and releasing any other tight layers that's holding us back. Make it nice and soft and easeful. Being as passive as we can. Just letting the pose work on its own. We don't have to push it. We don't have to pull anything. Just passively be in this shape and form. Another 3 breaths here. And slowly making your way up to straddle pose. So from here, we're just going to open the legs in a wide straddle that's comfortable for us. Hamstrings are facing down and our quads are facing up, and then we are as passive as we can, just kind of letting those sit bones really just sink down. You might sit in a blanket, anything that's comfortable. I'm just going to use the blanket for my forearms to sink down. You might have blocks, you might not have anything. Letting the head relax, and we'll come back into our folding mode and releasing, just finding our edge in the pose wherever it is for our hamstrings, our calves, the lower back, and then from there just kind of dropping in for the next 20 breaths or so. Enjoy. Letting there be a nice even feeling from the hips and out the legs. Just kind of distributing the breath to each leg evenly. It knows where to go, it finds it. Another 10 breaths here. Just letting the legs fully relax, letting the muscles be heavy. Another 3 breaths. And then we're slowly going to make our way up and take the hands on each side of the legs and closing the legs up, coming onto our back and ending with a supine twist before we come and have a comfortable seat together and do some more chanting. So let's come down onto our backs. This should feel pretty good to come on the back after those big wide hip opening. So we're gonna just take the legs and cross the right over the left and come into upward facing shoelace. Just kind of squeezing the legs together gently with a little easeful support from the hands. 10 breaths in shoelace and 10 breaths in supine twist. You might have your hands around your hamstrings. You might have a strap involved. You might have your hands down towards your ankles, outside of the feet. Just kind of squeezing into the center line after having the legs open and just kind of continuing our journey in towards the hips, releasing tension in the hips, open pathways most of all, so we can feel more open, more receiving of new transformational energies, more grounded, more open to connect to any of the sources that is right next to us, who wants us to be free and clear in our mind and in our body. Another 3 breaths here. And slowly releasing the hands, and take your left foot down and bring the left hip down to the floor. Come into supine twist with your knees tipping over towards the left side. Twisting and massaging in towards the waist, to the organs, to the spine. Another 5 breaths here. And slowly undo the legs and come into your back and come to shoelace pose with your left knee over your right. Then taking hands either under hamstrings or around the knees. Bring in straps if needed, or support your hands on each side of your ankles, pinky toe side. Whatever you feel the most benefit from this pose. Usually it's on the outer hips on the leg that's crossed over. The whole side. Releasing through the layers. Knowing that by just being in a shape for 90 seconds or 3 minutes or more, we adjust the connective tissue, the fascia, the blueprint of the body, making it an easier kind of bag or sheet, a layer for the muscles to reside in. We'll take another 3 breaths together here. And from here, releasing your hands, coming into 10 breaths in Supine Twist. Press your right foot down, bring your right hip to the right side, and tip your knees to the right. Twisting and turning in towards the whole waist, organs, spine, lumbar, middle spine. Bringing health to the organs, bringing health to the blood flow. Releasing any uncomfortableness, any stagnation. 5 more breaths together here. And gently making your way back out from your supine twist pose. coming on your back. Maybe giving yourself a couple of cat-cows into the mat before we make our way up onto all fours. And just kind of switching it up by coming into tabletop and arching the spine up to the sky. Just even out right and left side in towards the center. Coming into neutral spine, tucking the toes under, taking one more down dog. Making it a comfortable dog, maybe walking it out a little bit. Anchoring in, breathing into all the layers. And slowly making our way into a comfortable seat where we come back to our mantra of Tare's words of liberation, of connectedness, of releasing all pain and suffering. She is committed to stay and liberate each and every one of us until we are free of pain and suffering. So we do our practices, whatever that means to us, to help out, right? So one of them is to say her mantra, Om Tare, Tuttare, Ture, Soham. Om Tare, Tuttare, Ture, Soham. And we can take the thumb and the ring finger together and place it up onto our knees, and that will connect us into a mudra that is very grounding. It's the earth mudra. We hold it for grounding and for connecting us to nature, connecting us to all the grounding cords that we have. And we'll together say the mantra Om Tare, Tuttare, Ture, Soham for 3 times, and then I'll play a little crystal bowl and we meditate together for 3 minutes or so. So let's take a nice big inhale. Om Tare, Tuttare, Ture, Soham. Om Tare, Tuttare, Ture, Soham. Om Tare, Tuttare, Ture, Soham. You are welcome to sit for the next part. You are welcome to lay down. So take your most comfortable place. Will just help us to bring us into meditative state with a few rounds of the seal crystal bowl.
thank you so much for joining me for this yin yoga practice today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in our next gathering here on YouTube, and next practice in this mantra movement meditation series will be for Lord Shiva, the dancer. So we'll do dancer pose next practice together. Thank you so much for joining me, and may all beings everywhere be free and happy. Namaste.